Anna had spent the whole day staring at the walls of her empty apartment, her heart heavy and her thoughts lost in regret. She had been a nurse for 7 years, always fighting for her patients, always arguing when rules got in the way of saving lives, but that morning it had ended with the hospital director sliding a paper across the desk and telling her the words that felt like a blade. You are dismissed. Her hands had trembled as she packed her things, every corner of the hospital reminding her of the long nights, the people she had saved, the pain she had witnessed, and now all of it seemed useless, thrown away by men who cared more about money than mercy. She had walked out into the street feeling as if the world had abandoned her. Her only answer was to drive nowhere and everywhere, her old car rattling as she pressed down the road into the mountains. She wanted to get away from the lights of the city, away from her failures, away from the heavy silence of her thoughts. The night stretched long, the road winding between tall trees, shadows bending across her headlights. The radio was off, her phone silent. She gripped the wheel tighter, fighting the urge to scream, when suddenly the world above her cracked open. A line of fire ripped across the sky, so bright that for a second it was like daylight. The streak tore through the clouds, flaming and wild, before it vanished into the forested hills ahead. Her mouth fell open, her heart racing. It looked too large to be a shooting star, too low to be safe. She slowed the car and pulled onto the dirt path, her instincts from years in the hospital pulling her forward. Maybe it was a plane crash, maybe someone was hurt and needed her help. She grabbed the small first aid kit she always carried and pushed into the woods, following the glow that flickered faintly in the distance. The smell of smoke grew stronger. The trees around her, bent and broken like something enormous, had forced its way down. Branches snapped and the ground torn open by impact. Her legs shook as she pushed through the clearing, and then she stopped, frozen in place, unable to believe her eyes. Lying before her was not a machine, not a plane, but something alive, its body larger than any animal she had ever seen, scales stretched across it like molten metal, glowing faintly in the dark. Its wings torn, one bent and useless, its chest heaving with slow heavy breaths, each one rattling like thunder. Anna could not breathe. Her mind screamed to run, to turn away, to hide from the impossible, yet she stayed rooted, her eyes locked on the creature, because it was not only real, it was dying. Her hands shook, but her nurse's instinct screamed louder than her fear. It was bleeding, dark fluid glowing like embers slipping between broken scales, its breathing shallow, its throat groaning with low sounds that rattled the ground. She whispered to herself over and over, "It is just a patient, just a patient, just a patient." She dropped to her knees near its side, opening the kit, her fingers fumbling as she tore strips of fabric from her own shirt to press against the wounds, her brain working on instinct, years of training telling her where to stop the bleeding, how to cool the burns, how to steady the breathing, even as she stared at claws sharp enough to crush her bones. The creature's eye opened, suddenly glowing blue light spilling into her face. She gasped, falling back, but then froze, because the light was not only in its eye, it was in her head. A voice, deep and echoing, filled her mind, not through her ears but inside her thoughts. "You saved me, nurse." Anna's breath caught in her throat. How did it know her name? She whispered aloud, barely able to speak. "You can talk." But the creature's mouth did not move, its voice pressed deeper into her mind, weak but certain. "You touched my fire, now it is inside you." Her heart pounded. She had no answer. Her hands kept moving, pressing wounds, steadying breath, and all the while the impossible words echoed through her. The night grew colder, the stars above clearer, but Anna felt warmth spreading through her chest like a second heartbeat. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, desperate to call someone, anyone, but the screen was wrong. No signal, it read, but then it flickered, strange lines of symbols flashing across it, shifting faster than she could read. Her skin crawled as a single message burned across the black screen. "Signal locked, 4 ships inbound." She dropped the phone onto the dirt, staring at the impossible words, her pulse hammering. She turned to the dragon, its eyes fading again as it whispered one last time in her mind, "You chose to save me, now you are marked." Anna sat frozen, the forest silent around her, the smell of smoke heavy in the air, and though she could not see the sky behind the trees, she felt it changing above her, something vast and unknown already moving toward her, and she understood without knowing how her life would never again belong to her alone. Anna barely slept that night, the images of fire in the sky and the massive wounded dragon etched into her mind. She lay on her couch, still wearing the torn shirt she had ripped for bandages, her body trembling from exhaustion, but her mind refusing to rest. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt again the warmth spreading through her chest, that strange second heartbeat that did not belong to her. She pressed her palm against her skin over and over, hoping it would fade, but it pulsed steady, alive and foreign. The dragon's words still thundered inside her thoughts. "You are marked." She wanted to believe it was shock, her imagination twisting the moment, but when she glanced at her phone, the strange message remained burned into the screen like a scar, 4 ships inbound. As the first light of morning spread through her window, Anna forced herself to stand, her legs weak, her breath unsteady. She needed to go back to the clearing. She needed to know if the dragon was real or if she had dreamed the whole thing. She grabbed her jacket and shoved the useless phone in her pocket. Stepping into the chill dawn, the air felt different, sharper, almost humming. She drove back to the dirt road, her hands gripping the wheel so hard her knuckles burned. The forest looked quiet, ordinary. Yet every bird call, every rustle in the leaves made her flinch, as if she expected something to burst out of the shadows. When she reached the clearing her chest tightened because it was empty, no dragon, no broken trees, no glowing blood, only silence and the faint char of smoke on the ground as if something enormous had burned through and vanished. Anna stood still, the cold morning wind brushing her face, her heart sinking. Had she imagined it all a hallucination after the worst day of her life? But then she crouched low, her fingers brushing against the earth, and she saw its scales faint like glassy shards scattered across the dirt, catching the sunlight, each one warm in her hand like they held a fire of their own. She clutched them tight against her chest, whispering to herself, no, this was real, this happened. A sound broke through the quiet, a low hum vibrating through the air. Anna looked up, her breath catching, because the sky above her was no longer blue. Four enormous shapes were cutting through the clouds, sleek silver bodies reflecting the morning light. They were not planes. She knew that instantly. Their angles were too sharp, their movement too smooth, each ship gliding like it was alive. Her stomach dropped, the words from her phone slamming back into her mind. For ships inbound, they were coming for her. She stumbled back into the trees, her legs heavy, her lungs burning. The ships grew louder, the hum now a roar shaking the ground as they descended. Anna ran blindly, branches whipping her arms, her shoes slipping on mud. She burst out onto the road, scrambling into her car, her hands shaking so badly she almost dropped the keys the moment the engine roared to life. Shadows swept over her, the ships gliding low overhead, their size monstrous, their silence more terrifying than thunder. She pressed the gas, slamming down the road, the car rattling as dust rose behind her, but she knew she could not outrun them. She glanced through the windshield, and her breath froze as beams of white light lanced down from the ships, hitting the road ahead one by one, cutting off every escape. Her car screeched to a halt, the lights blinding as her heart pounded so loud she thought it would burst. The air around her shimmered, the beams shifting like curtains of fire until shapes began to form, tall figures stepping out of the light, their skin pale, almost metallic, their eyes glowing faint blue, each one moving with slow, impossible grace. They did not walk, they glided. The tallest among them stopped in front of her car, raising a hand. The glass of her windshield cracked instantly, the air pressure making her ears ring. Her instinct screamed to hide, to run, but her body would not move. She felt her chest burn, that second heartbeat racing, the warmth spreading hotter as the figure's voice filled her mind, the same way the dragons had. Nurse Anna, you are bound. Her breath hitched, she wanted to scream, but no sound came. The figure leaned closer, its glowing eyes locked on her chest where the fire burned under her skin. It spoke again, not with lips but directly in her mind. Where is the one you touched? Anna's pulse hammered. She shook her head, unable to answer, her mouth dry, her thoughts tangled. She whispered finally, I don't know, but the figure only tilted its head, its expression unreadable. You lie, it said calmly, your bond cannot be broken. She tried to deny. It tried to insist she had nothing to do with them, but then the fire in her chest flared hotter and she collapsed forward against the steering wheel, gasping as if her own body had betrayed her. The figures stepped closer, surrounding her car, their presence suffocating, the tall one's hand glowing with light. Anna raised her head, tears in her eyes, her voice breaking as she whispered, what do you want from me? And the answer came cold and final, not in sound, but in her bones. You saved what was forbidden, now you will burn with it. Before she could move, before she could scream, the ground beneath her shook violently, the air splitting with a sound like thunder, and out of the sky behind the ships another roar came, a roar she had heard once before, the dragon's voice echoing through the clouds as a wall of fire ripped downward. Anna's eyes widened, her fear swallowed by shock. The dragon was not gone, it was alive, and it had found her. The firestorm ripped through the sky with a force Anna had never seen, the ships scattered, breaking formation as the roar shook the earth. The clearing that had been silent only moments before exploded with light, heat and chaos. Anna covered her face against the windshield as waves of fire rolled past her car, yet somehow the flames did not consume her. She looked up trembling, her vision blurred, and there it was, the dragon, its massive body blotting out the sun, its wings torn but still strong, its scales glowing with molten light like rivers of lava running across its chest. She gasped because the creature was alive, but it should not have been alive. Its wounds were too deep, too terrible, yet it hovered defiant and burning with power. The alien figures around her turned their glowing eyes upward, their formation breaking. For the first time Anna could sense their unease. The tall leader raised a hand again, but before he could strike, the dragon unleashed another roar, this one different, sharper. It carried words that rattled through her skull and into her bones. She is mine. The words struck Anna so hard she flinched, her heartbeat, the second one, flared painfully inside her chest, the fire coursing through her veins, her body shaking. The aliens staggered backward, their blue eyes flickering with something like fear, yet they did not retreat, not fully. They raised their arms and light burst from their palms, weaving together into weapons that looked both alive and mechanical, blades that sang as they cut the air. Anna sat frozen in her car, trapped between forces she could not understand. She wanted to run, but her legs would not move. Her heart screamed for her to fight, but she had no weapon, no strength, only the fire inside her. The dragon dove, low fire sweeping across the trees as the aliens leapt into the air, their movements inhumanly fast, their blades clashing against the dragon's burning scales, sparks and light scattering like shattered stars. Anna screamed, covering her ears, the sound unbearable, like metal grinding against bone. The dragon staggered, one wing faltering, it crashed into the ground, shaking the earth. Anna's car jumped from the force, her head slamming against the glass pane, blurring her vision, but through the haze she saw the dragon's massive golden eye staring at her. It was not just looking, it was pleading. Anna's chest burned, the fire inside her twisting like it was being pulled out. She stumbled from the car, her body moving before her mind could catch up. Every step closer to the dragon made the aliens turn their heads, their focus snapping to her as if they had been waiting for this moment. The tall leader pointed and his voice thundered inside her skull, "Bring her." Anna stumbled forward, falling to her knees, her hand pressed against the dragon's scorched scales. And the moment her skin touched it, the world split apart. Fire and light surged through her body. Her scream tore through the clearing. The alien weapons flared brighter, but then something impossible happened. The fire inside her burst outward like wings made of pure flame arching from her back. The heat rippled across the clearing, knocking several aliens off their feet. Anna gasped, staring at her hands that glowed like molten glass, her body alight. Yet she was not burning, she was alive. She was more alive than she had ever been. The dragon's eye blinked slowly, approval shining through its agony. "You carry me," it said, its voice weak but proud. She shook her head, tears streaming. "I don't understand." But there was no time. The aliens rushed forward, their blades raised. Anna lifted her arms on instinct, and fire erupted from her palms, a wave so bright it turned the air white. The front line of aliens screamed, their metallic skin cracking under the heat. Anna staggered backward, shocked by what she had done. The tall leader stood untouched, his glowing eyes narrowing at her. "You are bonded with the Forbidden One," he said, his voice cold, his blade humming as it pointed toward her chest. "The bond will end only with your death." Anna's breath caught, her body trembling, but the dragon's voice cut through her fear. "Rise," it whispered, "you are more than what they see." Her hands shook, fire still flickering across her skin. The aliens spread out, surrounding her, the leader stepping closer as the dragon tried to lift itself again, but collapsed, unable to rise. The choice pressed heavy on her shoulders. She could run and abandon the creature that had given her this fire, or she could stand and fight against beings that looked unstoppable. The clearing went silent for one long terrible moment. Anna's breathing ragged, the aliens watching her, the dragon broken but waiting, the fire in her chest pounding louder than her own heart. Her fingers curled into fists, the flames whispering at the edge of her skin, and then without warning the leader lunged, his blade slicing toward her. She raised her hand instinctively, and a blast of fire tore through the air so fierce it split the ground between them, knocking him back. Anna stared at the crater, smoking at her feet, horrified yet filled with something she had never known, power. The dragon's voice, weak but certain, echoed in her mind, "They will not stop the ships, the hunters. The fire will call more." Anna's eyes widened, her chest tightening as she realized this battle was only the beginning, and that the fire in her veins had just painted a target on her for the entire galaxy. The night was not dark anymore because the sky itself glowed with streaks of silver and red as though new stars were being born above the forest. Anna stood frozen, the fire still trembling in her veins, the dragon lying broken at her side, its massive chest rising and falling with painful effort. The clearing smelled of smoke and ozone. The alien leader, who had been thrown back by her fire, stood again, brushing dirt from his metallic skin, his glowing eyes fixed on her. He did not look afraid, but he no longer looked calm either. His soldiers hissed in unison, surrounding Anna in a half circle, their blades singing with light as though eager to taste her blood. Anna's legs shook, but she planted her feet firmer. She could not explain why she had not collapsed, why she had not run. She only knew the dragon's eye was still on her, waiting, testing, believing. Her throat burned when she finally found her voice. "What do you want with me?" she asked, the fire crackling faintly around her fingertips. The alien leader tilted his head and spoke slowly, as though savoring the sound of his own words. "The bond makes you dangerous. The fire inside you belongs to the stars, not to your kind. You are trespassing on a covenant older than your world." Anna's chest heaved. She wanted to scream that she had never asked for this, that she had only wanted to survive, to heal the creature that had fallen before her, but she remembered the voice in her skull, the dragon claiming her as his own, and she felt the truth deep inside. The fire was not just his, it was hers too. The alien stepped closer and Anna raised her hands, fire coiling through the air like serpents, warning them back. But then the dragon stirred with a groan so loud the ground shook, his molten eye fixing on the leader, his voice weak but sharp like a blade. "She is under my wing. If you touch her you will burn." Anna's heart clenched, the leader's face hardened, his soldiers shifted but did not retreat. Then above the treetops a sound split the night, the deep vibration of engines so massive the leaves shook. Anna looked up and her breath caught, her chest locked tight. 4 enormous shadows slid across the stars, and then the clearing filled with the glow of descending lights. 4 ships larger than any human city block, descending slowly like gods returning to Earth. The aliens who had threatened her stiffened, their blue glow flickering with something like fear. Anna's knees went weak. She had thought this small group had been too much to face, but now the sky itself was filled with ships, their hulls shining with luxury like floating palaces of glass and silver, each one humming with power she could feel even from the ground. Her mouth went dry. The dragon lifted his head slightly, his body shaking. "Those ships are not hunters," he whispered, his voice ragged but carrying weight. "They are claimers." Anna stumbled a step back. "Claimers? What does that mean?" But before she could speak further the ships lowered with elegance, beams of light sweeping the forest as if scanning every tree. Then one by one they landed, their ramps unfolding with silent perfection. Figures stepped out, not like the hunters she had just faced, but tall and robed, their skin shimmering like liquid silver, their eyes bright with intelligence and cruelty. They walked with the calm assurance of rulers, not soldiers, and when the first of them spoke his voice was smooth like velvet but carried the weight of command. "Nurse Anna, the chosen one, we have come for you." Anna's heart dropped into her stomach. She staggered back, shaking her head. "How do you know my name?" she whispered. The man smiled as if her fear amused him because your bond has already been written in the fires of the stars. Your world cannot hide you anymore. Anna's chest burned, her second heartbeat racing, her veins aching with the heat. The hunters stepped back as if uncertain whether to fight or bow before these newcomers. The air was thick with tension. The dragon groaned, trying to rise, but his wounds dragged him down, his massive body shaking. Anna pressed a hand against his scales, desperate to keep him still, but he whispered into her mind, "They will not let you choose, they will decide for you unless you stand." Anna turned toward the silver-robed figures, her fear mixing with defiance. "What do you want with me?" she demanded. The leader's smile widened. "We do not want, we claim you, and through you we claim the fire you carry. It belongs to us, it always has." Anna's breath quickened, her hands trembling, the flames licking across her fingers as the hunters backed away, the silver men drawing closer like shadows closing in. The dragon's voice echoed, weak but desperate, "You must choose now, nurse, stand with the fire or be swallowed by it." Anna clenched her fists, fire flaring brighter than before, her chest ready to burst. The silver men stopped just short of her, their eyes glowing as if they saw everything she was and everything she feared, and then one of them extended a hand as if inviting her to step forward, his voice a whisper that filled her ears with false comfort. "Come with us, and you will never suffer again. Come with us, and you will live as the stars live forever." Anna's lips trembled, she could feel the heat rising in her throat, the dragon's pained breath behind her, the hunters watching, the silver figures pressing closer, and she knew the next words, the next step, the next flame she released would decide not just her fate but the fate of a war she could not yet understand. The forest still carried the hum of engines as the 4 silver starships loomed like towers of light, their polished surfaces reflecting the broken trees and scattered embers from the earlier fight. Anna's heart thudded painfully against her ribs, every breath felt heavier, her mind spinning with too many questions and not enough answers. The silver-robed men stood calmly, their eyes never leaving her. They did not draw weapons because they did not need to, their confidence was a weapon itself. Each word they spoke felt like chains being wrapped around her, one link at a time. She wanted to step back, but her legs were locked in place, her palms burned with fire curling along her skin, begging to be set free. The dragon shuddered beside her, his broken body still bleeding, glowing with faint embers where scales had cracked. His voice inside her head was weaker now, but still steady. "They do not see you, nurse, they only see the fire you carry. They will strip it from you until nothing is left." Anna blinked, hot tears stinging her eyes. She had been nothing but a nurse before this, a broken one, thrown away by her hospital, forgotten by the world. Now she was caught between creatures who spoke of bonds and wars and fires of the stars. She clenched her fists tighter. "I did not ask for this," she whispered, her voice trembling. The silver leader's smile deepened. "Nobody asks for destiny, child, destiny chooses." The hunters who had first attacked her shifted uneasily on the edge of the clearing, their glowing armor flickering as though even they feared the newcomers. Anna noticed how they kept their distance, as though caught between enemy and master. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by the low hiss of cooling engines. Then the silver leader raised his hand and a beam of pale light shot out from the nearest ship, covering Anna in a soft glow. Her chest ached immediately, the second heartbeat inside her pulsing wildly as if answering the light. The dragon roared weakly, thrashing his tail, and sparks flew across the clearing. "No," he cried, his voice booming inside her skull. "Do not let them take it. The fire will kill you if they bind it to their will." Anna dropped to her knees, clutching her chest, pain exploding through her veins as if liquid fire rushed under her skin. She gasped, dragging air into her lungs, her fingers clawing at the ground. The silver leader's voice was calm, almost gentle. "Do not fight it, nurse, surrender, and the pain will end. Surrender, and you will rise higher than your kind ever dreamed." Anna wanted to scream, but her voice caught in her throat. She felt the dragon's mind straining against us, urging her to hold on, to resist. Even as the fire inside her screamed for release, she lifted her head through the blinding light, meeting the alien's eyes, and she whispered with a cracked voice, "Why me, why a nurse?" The leader's answer was simple, "Because you are human enough to love and broken enough to burn." The words chilled her more than the fire burning through her veins. She tried to push herself up, her arms trembling. The dragon forced one wing over her, his scales broken but still shielding her from the beam. His body shook violently, smoke rising from his wounds. Anna cried out, pressing her hand against his scales, begging him to stop, but his voice echoed inside her head, "If you fall into their hands, the fire will be lost to darkness. I am already dying, nurse, but you still have a choice." Anna's breath shook, her tears falling into the cracks of his scales. She had never felt so small, so unprepared, so impossibly fragile, and yet the fire inside her pulsed again, stronger, not weaker, as though feeding on her fear. The silver leader frowned for the first time, his calm broken as the beam flickered against the dragon's massive body and failed to pull Anna forward. The robed figures stepped closer, their eyes narrowing, the leader's voice sharper, "Bring her by force." The hunters shifted uncertain, readying their blades, but before any could move, the ground trembled again, a deep vibration that shook the roots of the trees. Anna's wide eyes darted upward, another sound filling the sky, not the elegant hum of silver starships, but a heavy mechanical roar, as though something massive tore through the clouds above. She staggered to her feet, clutching her burning chest, staring into the sky, and there she saw it, dark shapes breaking through the night, lit with the red glow of engines far more brutal than the silver ships. The silver men turned sharply, their calm cracking. The hunters hissed, retreating further as a new fleet of ships appeared, descending from the heavens, not smooth palaces of light, but armored beasts, their hulls scarred, their engines growling. Anna's heart slammed in her chest as she counted them, not 4 but 6, each larger than the silver vessels, their weapons already glowing with power. The forest bent under the roar of their descent. The dragon's voice shuddered weakly in her skull. Another clan, he whispered, another war, and Anna realized with a sick twist in her gut she was not caught between two sides. She was standing in the middle of a battle. The entire galaxy was about to fight over her. The sky burned with fire as the 6 warships broke through the clouds, their hulls jagged like broken teeth, engines roaring like monsters. The silver ships, which had seemed so vast and powerful, now looked fragile in comparison. Anna staggered back, the heat of the engines scorching her skin even from the forest floor. Her ears rang with the sound of metal tearing through the air. The dragon stirred beside her, lifting his head, though his strength was nearly gone. His cracked scales glowed faintly. His voice inside her head was strained but still steady. Do not trust them, nurse. The silver ones and the dark ones are both predators. They smell the fire in you and they will never let you go. The silver leader raised his hand, a sharp whistle cutting through the night. His men moved quickly, their robes swirling like liquid light. They formed a barrier between Anna and the descending ships, their calm gone, replaced with tension, weapons appearing in their hands for the first time, slender blades that shimmered with strange energy. The hunters who had been ready to strike at Anna earlier now froze, their helmets turning back and forth between the silver warriors and the incoming war fleet. Anna could feel the fear rippling off them like heat from fire. They were killers, but even they seemed small before what was landing above them. The 6 ships tore open the forest canopy as they landed, their landing legs crushing trees like sticks. The ground shook. Anna nearly fell forward, her palms sinking into dirt that burned with sparks. The dragon shielded her with his broken wing. Even as he winced in pain, the hulls of the new ships split open and ramps slammed into the ground. Figures emerged, tall armored beings with faces hidden behind helmets of black steel, their weapons larger than any human could carry. They moved in tight formation surrounding the clearing until the silver warriors and the hunters alike were trapped. Anna's chest burned, the fire inside her answering the heavy thrum of energy radiating from the new arrivals as if the fire itself recognized them. One of the armored beings stepped forward, his armor thicker, darker, etched with glowing red lines. He removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face with eyes the color of coal. His voice was like gravel dragged across stone. Give us the vessel, he demanded, pointing directly at Anna, his words shaking the air as though the trees themselves trembled at his command. The silver leader narrowed his eyes, his voice cold. She belongs to the light, not to shadows. The scarred commander bared his teeth in a grin. Shadows consume light, child. You cannot protect her forever. Anna's body trembled, every gaze in the clearing locked on her. She had never felt so exposed, so fragile, yet inside her chest the fire pulsed louder, faster, as though mocking her fear. The dragon groaned, his tail thrashing weakly in the dirt, his voice filling Anna's mind. You must choose, nurse, not who to trust, for none can be trusted, but who you will fight for. Anna's breath came fast, ragged. She wanted to scream at them all, she wanted to run, but her legs would not move. Her heart ached, the fire clawing at her insides. Her hands glowed faintly, light curling between her fingers. The silver warriors saw it and stepped closer, forming a circle around her. The scarred commander barked an order, and his soldiers raised their weapons, their guns humming with a deadly charge. And in that breathless moment Anna realized every ship, every soldier, every alien was ready to kill each other over her body. She pressed her fists against the ground, fire shooting through her veins. It burned so violently she thought her skin would rip apart. The dragon's eyes flickered weakly as he whispered, the fire is waking because you are choosing. Anna gasped, and without thinking she slammed her glowing palm against the earth. A wave of heat erupted from her body, exploding across the clearing. Trees bent, hunters were thrown off their feet, silver warriors stumbled, the armored soldiers staggered back, even their commander's grin faltering as cracks of molten light split the soil. Anna collapsed, trembling, her hands burned raw but alive, the air filled with smoke and the stunned silence of warriors who for the first time looked uncertain. Then the dragon's chest rose one last time, his massive head lowering until his glowing eyes stared into Anna's. You are the bond now, nurse, he whispered, his voice breaking like wind over ashes. Fire and flesh one together, protect it or the stars will fall. His body shuddered and the last spark of light inside his scales flickered out, leaving him still. Anna's heart clenched, tears spilling down her face, but the fire inside her chest flared brighter than ever, answering his last gift. The silver leader raised his blade toward her, eyes blazing with shock and hunger. The scarred commander growled, raising his weapon at the same time, and Anna realized with a sinking horror that both armies no longer cared about fighting each other. They would now both come for her. The clearing was thick with smoke, the trees groaned under the weight of fire, and the night air trembled with the echoes of the explosion. Anna stood frozen, her hands still glowing faintly, her breath sharp and fast, every eye fixed on her. The silver warriors in their flowing robes had tightened their circle around her, but their blades trembled in their hands, their calm broken by the raw burst of power they had just witnessed. The hunters crawled back onto their feet, their helmets tilting toward her. Their once mocking stance now edged with unease. Even the dark-armored soldiers with their heavy weapons kept their distance, though their leader's black eyes never wavered. He stared at Anna like she was no longer human, like she was something more, something dangerous. The dragon's body lay beside her still and cold, the massive frame once alive with fire now only a broken shell. Anna wanted to kneel beside him to cry, to hold on to him, but the fire inside her chest would not let her. It throbbed fiercely like a drum, like it was pushing her forward, forcing her to keep standing. The silver leader broke the silence, his voice sharp as a blade. She carries the bond now, the last of the flame. He looked around at his warriors and then at the armored soldiers, his expression turning hard. She is the key to the war. The scarred commander stepped closer, his boots crushing embers, his scarred face twisting into a grin. Not a key, he said, a weapon, and weapons belong to those strong enough to wield them. The hunters hissed among themselves, their leader raising a spear that hummed with energy. The flame is prey, he spat, we will claim it for the hunt. The tension tightened in the air. Anna felt it pressing on her chest, 3 armies surrounding her, each ready to kill each other for her fire. Her throat was dry, her mind screamed run, but her body would not move. The fire inside her pulsed hotter, brighter, like it was alive, like it was waiting for her to speak. Her lips parted and the words slipped out. Though she did not understand why or how, stop, she shouted, her voice breaking across the clearing like thunder. Every soldier, every warrior, every hunter froze, their weapons half raised, their eyes wide. Anna's hands blazed with light that shot up into the air, bursting like a flare. The explosion of light cleared the smoke for a moment, showing the night sky above, the stars flickering against the blackness. But among the stars Anna saw something new, shadows moving, enormous shapes sliding between constellations, and her blood ran cold because she realized they were ships, more ships, not 6, not 4, but dozens, dark figures sliding toward Earth like predators closing in. The silver leader tilted his head, his calm returning as if he had expected this. The scarred commander cursed under his breath, and the hunters stepped back, their courage faltering. Anna's body trembled. She had no idea what she had done or why the fire inside her seemed to have called those ships closer. One of the silver warriors leaned close to their leader, his words hushed but urgent. The queen will feel it now, we cannot keep her hidden. The leader's jaw tightened. He looked at Anna with a strange mixture of respect and fear, then turned his gaze to the black commander. You cannot take her, she is already claimed. The scarred commander's grin returned as he tapped his weapon against the ground, the sound echoing like a heartbeat. Claimed by no one, he said, she will burn worlds, and when she does, she will choose shadow, not light. The hunters laughed, their cruel voices sharp and cold like broken glass. Then we hunt her across stars, they said, she will not escape. Anna's legs finally gave way and she dropped to her knees, her palms pressed into the dirt, tears streaking her face. I don't want any of this, she whispered, her voice breaking, but the fire inside her chest raged brighter, as if mocking her fear, her denial, her grief. She pressed her hands tighter against the ground, the earth glowing beneath her fingertips. The silver warriors and the armored soldiers stepped back as cracks of molten light spread out from her touch. Her body shook with pain and exhaustion, but she couldn't stop. The fire wanted out, it wanted to grow. The sky shook, a low vibration rolling across the ground, the incoming fleet now close enough that the air itself seemed to bend around them. Anna gasped, her chest aching as if something inside her was pulling toward the stars, as if the ships themselves were calling her. The scarred commander's smile widened. He lifted his weapon high, his voice ringing out across the clearing. She is summoning the fleet, the war begins tonight. His soldiers roared in answer, the silver warriors raised their blades, the hunters screamed in triumph, and Anna realized with horror that the fire inside her had done exactly what they wanted. It had turned her into the spark for a war she could not escape, and as the night sky split open with the arrival of the dark fleet, she felt the terrifying truth. She was not meant to survive this war, she was meant to ignite it. The night sky tore open like black fabric, splitting under fire. The stars vanished behind the vast shapes of the descending fleet, their hulls gleaming with cruel light as dozens of ships slipped through the clouds, their engines howling. The ground shook with their arrival, trees cracked under invisible pressure, animals fled into the burning forest, and the humans who had once mocked Anna's quiet life would never understand the storm that now gathered above their world. The silver warriors formed ranks, their blades glowing white. The scarred commander lifted his weapon with savage delight, his soldiers falling into lines like shadows on fire. The hunters clicked their spears against the earth, their voices rising in hunger. The clearing that had once held only grief and smoke was now the heart of a storm. Anna knelt in the center, trembling with the weight of the flame that burned inside her. The fire pressed against her ribs, pressed against her heart, screaming to be let free. She tried to resist, but every breath made it stronger. The first of the starships descended with the force of a falling mountain, its hull shaped like a jagged crown, its shadow swallowing the clearing, and from its underside a beam of blinding light struck down, surrounding Anna in a perfect circle. The soldiers, the hunters, the warriors all froze as a voice unlike any other thundered across the land, a voice that was both command and song, both gentle and merciless. She carries the last bond, the voice declared. She will be brought before the throne. The scarred commander spat in the dirt, raising his weapon toward the ship. You will not take her, he shouted. She belongs to the dark. The hunters snarled, raising their spears. No, she belongs to the hunt. But the silver leader raised his hand, his voice calm and clear yet edged with steel. She belongs to no one, he said. She will choose for herself. The beam around Anna tightened, pulling her body upward, her feet leaving the ground. Panic surged in her veins. She thrashed against it, but the fire inside her did not fight it. It welcomed it, as if it had always been waiting for this moment. The dragon's voice flickered in her mind, a whisper so faint she thought it might be her own memory. Fire must rise, Anna, fire must choose. Her tears blurred her vision, the earth below shrinking as she was drawn upward, the faces of the armies vanishing beneath the glow of the beam she screamed for help, but no one moved, no one dared touch her. The scarred commander leapt forward, his body consumed in shadow, his hand reaching toward her, but the beam seared him back. The silver warriors closed their eyes, bowing their heads as if witnessing prophecy, and the hunters scattered into the smoke like predators denied their prey. The ship's vast door opened above her, the light pulling her into its mouth, and then darkness swallowed her. She landed on smooth metal, her knees slamming hard against it. The beam vanished, leaving her in silence. The chamber was wide and glowing with veins of light running along its walls. She gasped, clutching her chest, the fire inside her settling to a low hum as though it knew it was home. Footsteps echoed through the chamber. Figures appeared, tall and radiant, armored in plates that shimmered like starlight, their faces hidden behind helmets shaped like crowns. One of them stepped forward, their voice the same that had thundered over the clearing. "You are the flame bearer, you are summoned to the court of the queen." Anna shook her head, tears streaking her face. "I'm just a nurse," she whispered. "I don't belong here." The figure lowered their helmet, revealing a woman's face, pale and stern with eyes like liquid silver. She studied Anna, not with cruelty but with piercing sorrow. "You belong to the flame now," she said, "and the flame belongs to the stars." The chamber rumbled, the ship rising higher, engines roaring. Anna stumbled, trying to keep her balance. The silver-eyed woman extended her hand. "Take my hand and live," she said. "Or refuse and burn alone." Anna's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to scream, she wanted to run, but the fire inside her pulsed hard, pressing her to move. The silver-eyed woman's hand glowed with faint light as if it could steady the storm inside Anna, but before Anna could decide, the walls shook violently. Alarms shrieked, red lights flashing through the chamber. Another ship had struck them, a heavy impact echoing across the hull. Voices cried out. The silver soldiers raised their weapons. The queen's envoy cursed under her breath. "The dark fleet has arrived," she said. "Their shadows follow you everywhere." Anna, the fire in Anna's chest blazed hotter as the walls split open and a jagged claw tore through the chamber. The scarred commander stepping through with his soldiers, his grin wide, his voice triumphant. "The flame is mine," he shouted. "This war ends with her." And as the chamber cracked open to the stars, Anna felt the fire inside her burst loose, a torrent of light that blinded friend and enemy alike, and she realized too late she was no longer just holding the flame, she was becoming it.